Hey everyone, and welcome back to season 6 of the So Cultured podcast. We are so excited to be back. Oh my god, we have been gone for what feels like forever. I genuinely feel like it's been 2-3 months. I don't even know. How long has it actually been?
Yeah, about that. It's been a while.
Criminal. We've missed you guys. If you guys follow us on specifically Instagram, you would know why we've had such a long break. Taz came back to the UK. We met up. We had many Aperol spritz. It was,
Mm-hmm.
but we did also take a brand new picture for our new logo. So if you guys haven't noticed it already, whatever platform you're listening to us on, go and check out our new logo. We're very proud of it, and we are like DIY queens. Like I always get people ask us, oh, like who edits your videos? Who does this? Who does that? But me and Taz, we're DIY queens. We do everything ourselves. We made the
We
whole
do
logo ourselves, so we're proud
everything.
of it.
Yeah, I was saying to Liv, this whole process of making a podcast, I've genuinely learnt more than probably my 3 years of undergrad, literally,
Mm-hmm.
because I've learned like video production, stage management with the lighting and stuff. And then you've got video editing, writing,
It's a
like
lot.
doing the research. What else do we do? All the transitions for our YouTube videos, like they're all made by us guys. Like we literally learn how to do that on the spot. So a
It's,
lot of
it's all
work
a
goes
learning
into this
process.
podcast, including our new logo. So
Yeah, you guys will have to let us know what you think of it. Only if it's positive comments though, because if you tell us you hate it, we don't want to hear it.
yeah, we don't want to
But
hear it.
anyway, as we said, we are back with season 6, and this season is called Overlooked. And the whole point behind this series is you guys have been asking us for a series about women in STEM, and we felt like with the new logo, the new like rebrand, it was just the perfect time to bring you guys this season. So we are basically going to be telling all of the untold stories from women in STEM over the years who have made amazing discoveries or just done really cool and amazing things in science, but their story hasn't been told. Or, you know, we've all heard stories about women in STEM who have done really, really cool things, and then their male counterparts have kind of taken the credit for their work. And so the whole point of this
Mm.
series is to highlight those stories and just fill you guys in on them. And we have some amazing stories and just some amazing women to tell you guys about. And we are just so excited for it.
Yeah, 100%. We're so excited. And when we say you guys have been asking for this, literally, we've had a comment at least every single season from someone
Mm-hmm.
asking if we could cover this. So we thought it was about time that we did exactly that, especially being women in STEM as well. But also, on top of our science, we always do laboratory. And this season, we are taking it back to our what would you do ifs, except this
Yes.
time we're mixing it up a little bit and asking you to give us a what would you do if question. So every 3 weeks, we will be reaching out on our Instagram stories, asking you guys to send us in some what would you do if questions, and then we will be answering them on the pod. So it could literally be anything. It could be a funny scenario, or it could be a literal scenario that you might be in and you need help
Mm.
with it.
Oh my god,
So
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, like what would you do if your professor me need you? Do you remember that from last
That's one
season?
we've covered before.
It could be anything. So we are so excited to hear what you guys throw our way. But also don't forget that we will still be reading your guys' listener stories. So if you guys have
Mhm.
any laboratory that you want to share with us, now is the time to get it in, because we still have a few slots remaining for this season. So if you want us to respond to your laboratory this season, now is the time to get it in. We will have the link in today's video or episode description, so make sure you check it out there. But without further ado, if we have nothing else to say, I feel like we've kept them waiting long enough. Why don't we just get
Mhm.
straight into episode 1 of Overlooked? Welcome to the So Cultured podcast.
Where we explore science and tech unfiltered.
We're your hosts, Liv and Taz, two girls who love STEM and spilling the tea.
Each season, we take on a new theme, whether it's busting conspiracy theories, celebrating women in STEM, or breaking down the science in your favourite sci-fi films.
And of course, in every episode, we spill the laboratory,
where we share your wildest stories from the world of science.
Let's get into this week's episode of So Cultured.
Okay, so today we are talking about a woman who lit up the silver screen in the golden age of Hollywood. and also laid the foundation for the technology that powers your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and GPS. And her name is Hedy Lamarr. Now, most people remember Hedy for her beauty, and sure, she was often called the most beautiful woman in the world. But behind her beautiful exterior was an inventor, and one of her famous quotes, which I think is kind of savage, but I love, is "Any girl can be glamorous. All you have to do is stand still and look stupid," which is so savage. So in this episode, we're taking a journey through Hollywood glam, World War II, secret patents, and the amazing legacy of a woman who truly lived two lives: the movie star and the inventor.
Oh my god, she already sounds incredible, and I'm so excited for this. Like Hollywood glam, World War II. It just all sounds so exciting, and somehow science or tech is going to come into this. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
This is given like pure girl boss and STEM energy. Do you know what I mean? I feel like already I'm going to say this is a good episode to start this whole season with, because I feel like she is going to encapsulate the true meaning of this whole series. So I'm very excited. So let's start at the beginning of her story then, Taz, because I want to know all about these women. So maybe we can start with like, where did she come from? What was her background? And just things like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I completely agree. Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler was born in 1914 in Vienna, Austria, into a well-off Jewish family. Her father was a banker and encouraged her interest in how things worked. And one story describes that she dismantled and reassembled a music box at the age of 5. So she was always quite interested in the way that things works. But by 16, her interest expanded more into performance. So she was hired as a script girl for a Sasha film and quickly moved into acting. And by 1932, she landed her first lead role in No Money Needed, which was a German comedy. And the following year, she starred in a Czech film called Ecstasy, which was actually quite wild at the time because it featured the first non-pornographic nude scene in cinema, as well as another scene which depicted a female orgasm. The film really sparked controversy, but basically it made Hedy internationally famous. But unfortunately, though, that fame came at a price.
I think she already sounds iconic. To be honest, like, yeah, she sounds like someone I would have been best friends with, not gonna lie.
For sure.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm already confused at the start of this story. Like, we have this beautiful actor who kind of did play a role in like some on-screen orgasm. So what happens next? Like, keep going with the story.
Okay, so at the age of 18 in 1933, Hedy married Frederick Mandel, a powerful Austrian arms dealer and industrialist who was 15 years senior at 33 years of age. And Mandel was basically a key player in Europe's munition industry. And this meant he had really close ties with the fascist regimes of Mussolini and Hitler, despite his Jewish heritage. And unfortunately for Hedy, he quickly became very possessive and controlling. And he was so enraged by her film Ecstasy, he genuinely tried to buy and destroy every copy of the film, reportedly spending over the equivalent of $5 million in today's money.
Do you know what? Like, cancel me for saying this, but no. I was going to say, why would that kind of win me over? No, it wouldn't. In honest seriousness, like, I was just going to say this right now. Like, Taz, as you know, awful at picking up red flags, and I ignore them, and I don't pick good men, so don't listen to me, guys. That is actually 100%, I know deep down in my soul, that is giving toxic masculinity, and we should not be attracted to that type of behavior. I'm going to shut up here.
100%. And I'm going to go even further as to say that basically Hedy was reduced to play housewife and hostess to a number of very important figureheads of the time, recognizable names such as Hitler and Mussolini, and she was effectively imprisoned in her home, nothing more than a quiet, appeasing housewife. But Hedy, she listened and learned. She was often in the background of Mandel's meetings with scientists and engineers, absorbing conversations about torpedoes, guidance systems, and radio-controlled bombs. And despite having no formal training, she was forming her own ideas about how these technologies worked. But given her Jewish heritage and the fact that she believed Hitler and Mussolini's regime to be an extremely bad one, eventually she knew that she had to escape.
My God, can you imagine that? Like, Hitler just walks into your house and then you've got to
Mate, you're
like,
serving him up a roast dinner.
yeah, like,
It's crazy.
genuinely imagine what that is like. This is just crazy. It was like, sorry, as soon as I thought the story couldn't get any crazier, then you're like, okay, actually, she's giving Hitler roast dinner. Like, this story is just, yeah, I feel like it's just
It's
going all
wild.
types of ways already, and I'm confused how we're going to get to Wi-Fi. But I do feel like it is really interesting to know like all of these people's backstories, and so cool to know that she was like listening in and absorbing like all of the information from the conversations that they were having, because yeah, I imagine they had like really in-depth, very secretive conversations. I imagine so.
Yeah.
So how did she escape this marriage? Like did she I can't remember if you said she escaped this marriage. Couldn't she just leave the house or leave her husband? I don't know.
Yeah, well, no, because obviously, because of who she was married to, Hedy knew that she had to devise a solid plan to escape her quote unquote prison. So she did something extremely clever. One night, she hired a personal maid who resembled her and over months laid the groundwork. And at this dinner party, Hedy feigned illness, so she took herself off to bed. But back in her room, she slipped sleeping pills into the maid's drink. And once the maid was asleep in her room, she changed into the maid's clothes, grabbed a small bag of valuables, and escaped through the servant's entrance. From there, she took the maid's car and she fled to Paris and then London. And then in 1937, she met MGM studio chief Louis B. Mayer, where he offered her a contract of $500 per week, which was very substantial at the time, and renamed her Hedy Lamarr. And she arrived in Hollywood later that year and later starred in a film in 1938 called Algiers, and it was a hit, which is, I think, is just so wild because she literally went from prisoned housewife to being in a film in the space of like a couple years.
Yeah, and like, no, let's really put that into context. She was like a smart academic kid. Then she kind of like left behind academia and like that world, went into acting, had like the first on-screen female orgy or orgasm.
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 And it was more famous for like being nude on screen.
Okay. Iconic. Absolutely iconic. It's giving like Playboy and STEM. Love this. Then she's serving Hitler up roast dinner. Then she escapes through. This is literally a movie. Like a movie. But I'm still confused how we're going to get to Wi-Fi. Like, I'm still confused. So let's keep going. Actor, we're back to being an actor. Where's the next step to the Wi-Fi?
I know. And Hedy literally became a literal Hollywood star, and she starred in many hit films of the time. Wow. But obviously, while she was lighting up the screen, her inventive spirit remained just as active. So she started dating a man called Howard Hughes, the aircraft tycoon. And this man, he actually started really encouraging her to explore her inventive side and her inventive mind. And as a result of that, she suggested streamlining airplane designs based off the wings of birds and fins of fish, and she even drew models for his engineers. And can I just say, we love a man who champions his women.
We love it. We love it. Yes, we do love a man who champions his women.
Yeah, obviously, as a result of her inventive side being encouraged, she also devised several new inventions. So she invented a new type of traffic light. She created tablets that dissolved in water to make carbonated drinks. And she also devised the idea of a motion sensor using radio waves, which is the technology used in today's automatic doors, which I think is crazy.
Mate, she's making me feel so unaccomplished. Like, I already felt unaccomplished in life, but this woman really has done it all. That's incredible, because it's not even like one niche thing that she keeps on doing, like making waves in. Like, one minute she's creating a traffic light, then she's making tablets that turn your drink into a carbonated drink. what the hell? This is literally insane.
I
Literally
know.
insane. I mean, it's starting to make sense now. It's starting to make sense. She's met a man. This is what happens when you're dating a man who, not that we need men to help us do this,
No.
but when you are dating a man who, or anyone who encourages you to pursue your passions and be
Yeah.
your best self, this is what happens. Women flourish.
100%. I mean, I can only do this podcast because of Kieran, because we have a 1-bed flat and he has to be relegated to the bedroom whilst I record. So if he didn't champion my passions, then this podcast wouldn't be here, guys.
We love Kieran.
We love Kieran. But before we jump in to her big invention, we just want to tell you about a platform that's honestly been a lifesaver for us, especially when juggling research, content planning, and just trying to keep our brains from exploding, to be honest. And it's called Inara. And if you're someone working on a dissertation, a thesis, a PhD, or even just trying to get through one intense module, you need this in your life. So basically, Inara is a all-in-one workspace for researchers. You can upload your PDFs, Word docs, audio files, videos, and even YouTube links or websites. And once it's uploaded, you can literally chat with your files, ask it questions like, what were the main findings of this paper? Did this article mention anything about neuroinflammation? And it gives you a direct, clear answer with citations.
Yeah, and if you're the kind of person who is juggling multiple papers, which, let's be honest, is all of us. I mean, I know it's me. Inara lets you throw them into a folder and ask a question across all of them, which I just think is so cool. So instead of flicking through 20 tabs, trying to remember which one of the papers mentioned oxidative stress, Inara just pulls it all together for you in one answer. And you can also highlight and annotate within PDFs, add notes, generate citations in whatever style you need.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm not going to lie, this would have saved so many meltdowns during my PhD. One, I used to have post-it notes everywhere. I used to have half-read papers that were printed off. And I used to have like 20, no, probably more than that, like 60 tabs open on one web browser. So Inara, it just fixes all of that.
Yeah, it really does. I relate so hard to that. So if you're a researcher, student, or just someone with chaotic energy like me and Taz and a million files, we highly recommend checking them out at anara.com. That's ANARA. And you can also use our code SoCulture20 for 20% off. And the link, of course, will be in today's episode or video description. So make sure you check them out. And thank you to Inara for sponsoring this episode.
Okay, let's get back to the episode. So, Hedy Lamarr, her most groundbreaking idea came during World War II. So, Hedy was really determined to help the Allied effort, not just with her celebrity status, but with her scientific mind. And once she came to the US and Hitler's regime started becoming a reality, it started to really fuel in her this desire to do whatever she could to really strike out against the Nazis. And one night at a Hollywood dinner party, Lamarr met someone who could help. George Antheil, and he was a composer most known for his passion project Ballet Mécanique, which was a composition in which he synchronized 12-player pianos to autonomously play a pre-planned symphony. But he was also at one point a US munitions inspector. So after initially meeting, Hedy invited George over for dinner, and during that dinner she told him all about the inside information she had about the war. And one consistent message was the power of radio and the role it would play in World War II weaponry and communications, and basically where intercepted or jammed radio frequencies could essentially wreak havoc on military maneuvers. So the two aimed to find a solution to this weakness by creating a impenetrable frequency to be used in torpedoes. But taking that idea from paper to prototype was a real challenge. So whilst the two of them were playing the piano side by side, one playing first and the other kind of following, almost in an echoing pattern, it was this echoing pattern which ultimately inspired a technology that could protect the Allied communications from interception. Secure military communication was a real problem in the war, and specifically torpedoes in World War II were often radio guided. But those signals could be jammed by the enemy just by broadcasting a stronger signal on the same frequency. So Hedy and George proposed a method called frequency hopping, a way to change frequencies rapidly and in a coordinated way to prevent that same jamming.
Interesting. Do you know what I find really cool is that something we've discovered quite a lot on this podcast is that actually a lot of the really important tech, because I'm assuming this is where this is going, but a lot of the really important tech that we use today actually was like developed and came from World War II. And also like so many incredible women were behind this tech. I mean, I know obviously this is the point of today's episode, but there are like a few other stories. I mean, like we've spoke about Ada Lovelace before, but there are so many other women that were involved in all of this incredible tech and science, which I just think is so cool. But could you maybe explain the actual science behind all of this?
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting that you say World War II as well, because obviously this was kind of a time where computers weren't a thing. So even though we're talking about radio frequencies and things, that is ultimately leading on to like today's Wi-Fi, right? But this was pre-computers. So I always also think that it's wild that a lot of this tech was kind of thought up before they had like the capacity to like really use it to its full advantage. Like you mentioned, Ada Lovelace is like a prime example of that. But
100%.
Into like the science of it. So basically fixed frequencies are vulnerable. So earlier systems used a single frequency, making them really easy to target. So frequency hopping was the idea to jump between frequencies in a pattern known only to the sender and the receiver. The hops follow what's called a pseudo-random sequence, so a sequence that appears random but is generated by a known algorithm, and both sender and receiver would be in synchronization and able to switch frequencies at the same time. And by spreading that signal over many frequencies, even if some are jammed, enough code is sent that the overall message still comes through. And I'm pretty sure we kind of covered this aspect in our Origins of the Internet episode, and Liv actually gives a really nice analogy for how that works in terms of like sending some code and it being pieced together at the end.
It was the outfit analogy. So like if Taz asked me to send her like a cute outfit for her birthday, and then I send all the different components in like different parcels. So like maybe her earrings will be delivered by like DPD, then her dress is delivered by Every. So it's although it's all going through like different routes and all in different packages, she still gets the complete outfit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And she looks great.
We love women in STEM analogy, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So the advantages of frequency hopping are as follows. So you have resilience to jamming, so the signal can't be blocked easily unless the hopping pattern is known. There's resistance to interference, so the signal is only briefly exposed to any single source of noise. There's enhanced security, so interception is nearly impossible without the known synchronization. And this technology, which is now referred to as frequency hopping spread spectrum, or FHSS for short, is used today in Wi-Fi. So some Wi-Fi routers use frequency hopping to operate on like a congested 2.5 gigahertz band. It's used in Bluetooth, so Bluetooth devices use frequency hopping for reliable data transmission. So it basically essentially means that my AirPods are connected only to my phone, not everybody else's phone. That's kind of like another way that it's used. And then GPS. So GPS satellites also use frequency hopping to improve signal accuracy and robustness. And then obviously what it was initially kind of thought up for, the military application. So frequency hopping remains really a crucial technology for secure military communication. And to kind of test this idea that they had, Hedy and George used the synchronized mechanics of George's player pianos to simulate these hopping patterns. And their invention allowed radio signals to jump between 88 frequencies, just like the 88 keys on a piano.
Wow, that is so cool. So clever. Like, I just can't imagine being this clever. Like,
I
I could
know.
just never, I could never. It's just so amazing. Did this like actually have an impact on the war then?
Yeah, so this is where the story gets a little bit frustrating for me, and you'll probably feel the exact same way.
Okay.
So it didn't exactly help the war effort. They filed a patent in 1941 for this frequency hopping spread spectrum technology or idea, and that was under Hedy's married name. And the US Patent Office granted it in 1942. They also presented it to the Navy as a secret communications system, but the idea was dismissed, and some say that it was too theoretical, but others believe it was due to Lamarr's previous fame and obviously her gender. And get this, instead of backing her technology, the Navy told her she could help more by selling war bonds, which are basically like loans from the average person to the government to help fund the war, the kind of loans that would essentially be repaid after the war. So they recommended she be a campaigner, like she'd go out and campaign people to donate to the war.
What?
Obviously, accepting the role that she was given, Lamarr raised over $25 million, which is equivalent to over $400 million today through those bonds. But yeah, I just feel like it's a bit of a waste of her
Yeah,
effort.
what the hell? So like, okay, you've just created this really amazing technology, but screw that. Just literally just stand there, look pretty and raise money for us. That's
Yeah.
literally like what it's giving. That's
Yeah.
insane. That's insane.
I know. It made me feel like deep-rooted anger. I feel like obviously being a woman in STEM, you kind of have an understanding of what it feels like to not be taken seriously. I think we've both, like a lot of people have been there. But even more so that actually behind closed doors, her designs were being taken seriously. So she didn't know anything about this. She was
Okay, of course. Here we
campaigning,
go.
but behind
Yep.
closed doors, they were like, oh, this is a really good idea. So the US military quietly began research and development using the concepts from her work. So major
course they did.
institutions, including Bell Labs, Harvard's Underwater Sound Lab, Western Electric, General Electric, and Columbia University's Sound Laboratory joined the project. And this was all led by the Navy. And this work led to successful tests that were performed with bomber drop torpedoes. So what Hedy was initially planning for her work to be used in torpedoes and also locked onto propeller signals. And Hedy's system also helped create jamming resistant guided bombs. And in fact, Hedy even applied to join the National Inventors Council but was refused by members like Charles F. Kettering, who claimed she wasn't a credentialed scientist. So instead, she rejoined the war bond campaigns where she often toured with a sailor named Eddie Rhodes, whom she would theatrically kiss on stage after the audience bought enough bonds. And it was a gimmick that obviously raised millions. But the whole scenario is just so frustrating because you've got her as kind of like a face of campaigning for the war effort, but actually behind closed doors, the Navy are taking her invention seriously, and she just knows nothing about it.
I think I just had like the biggest resting bitch face the whole way through that paragraph. Like, just watch me back. I'm literally like,
I know.
That's just, absolutely ridiculous. But can we even be surprised? I mean, especially during those times, right? Like, I mean, obviously we're still not there because as we always talk about, you know, we hear laboratory stories about it all the time. We've both had our own experiences, but I imagine back then it was like, it was 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just an insane story. I know I keep saying this. I've said it like 4 times in the episode, but I'm just so interested in like how, like, I understand this whole concept of like what she created and
Mm-hmm.
what she was behind, but I still don't understand how it links to Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so the technology that she pioneered didn't fully get a chance to shine until the introduction of single computing technology. So, using a computer, you could generate a pseudo random number for jumping between frequencies, creating truly secret communications. And computers obviously also increased the number of frequencies that information could be spread across. And it was deemed so necessary to future warfare that it was used in every ship involved in the Cuban Missile Crisis, and FHSS continued to be adapted and used by the military in secret for the next 20 years until it was declassified in 1985. And from there, the technology developed by Hedy would be used in devices across so many different industries. But one of the most useful elements of the technology she pioneered was that it allowed multiple devices to be wirelessly tethered to one system without interfering with each other. And Qualcomm used this technology to its advantage to create a cost-effective wireless communication network, or to put it more simply, the mobile phone. So instead of a wired landline, they went to a wireless mobile phone.
Wow.
And FHS is also used in every Bluetooth device because spread spectrum frequency hopping is how your phone could connect to your speaker, your headphones, and just connect to your device and stay connected without any interference from other Bluetooth devices around you. But obviously all these technologies, the one that's most attributed to Hedy is the wireless internet, so much so that in recent years she has been dubbed the mother of Wi-Fi, because essentially every piece of wireless technology in use today was made possible due to the breakthrough invention of frequency hopping by Hedy Lamarr and George Antheil. And yet for decades their names were absent from those records, but in 1997, 50 years after her invention, she and George Antheil posthumously received the Pioneer Award from the Electronic Frontier Foundation for her contributions in the field of spread spectrum technology. And luckily, guys, she was still alive when she received this award, which I think in general, like a lot of women are awarded these things after they've passed away, and then they never are aware of like their contributions to science. So I was very glad that she hadn't passed away at this point.
That makes me like want to cry when I hear about stories like that, because I'm just like it actually angers me that much that I want to cry, because I am an angry crier. Like I rarely cry when I'm upset. I cry when I'm angry. Like if you annoy me, I'm gonna cry, and then I get more annoyed because people think I'm upset, and I'm like, no, I'm not upset. I'm just actually angry, and now I'm more angry. But yeah, it actually makes me so angry that I want to cry.
Also, to break her heart even more, her patent expired in 1959, and Hedy never received compensation for her military inventions. But she later said, I was just doing my part to help win the war. No, I don't care if you're just doing your part to help win the war.
Literally.
Other people
You can do
profiting.
both. You can do both. Like you can do the good thing. You can help win the war and make your money, babe.
Yeah,
She deserved that money.
A clever girl. But anyway,
yeah, she deserved that.
In 2000, and at the age of 85, Hedy Lamarr passed away in Castleberry, Florida. And almost 20 years later, in 2019, asteroid 32730 Lamarr was named in her memory.
NASA always pull through and name something after these women. So yes, NASA.
Okay, cool.
Because they always do it, because I have a similar thing to tell you in next week's episode. But yeah, love this from NASA. I really do. But yeah, I just really feel like, I mean, this is the whole point of the series, right, is to highlight these stories, because we feel, and society in general feels like these women obviously weren't recognized enough for the amazing stuff and the amazing inventions, the amazing science or tech, whatever they're doing. And something that this story has made me wonder is, do you think, or like, what if the Navy had actually paid more attention to her invention and used it during the war? Do you think it would have made any kind of impact in terms of maybe it would have made that more lives were saved? Do you think it could have had like a big impact at the time, or it's something that needed extra years of computing progress to actually be used to its full potential? I don't know.
From my research, it does seem as though that if the Navy took this seriously from when she submitted it, then there could have been a real possibility that the war wouldn't have lasted as long as it did. And then ultimately that would have saved a number of people from perishing in the war. So it really could have made a massive impact. And I feel like that is probably the negative side of not taking a woman seriously and
100%.
the research. And I also think as well, I feel if she wasn't already a famous actress and I guess dubbed one of the most beautiful women in the world, maybe we wouldn't even know about the story and she would have
Yeah.
been lost to history.
Interesting.
And what about the female inventors without this spotlight? I imagine they still probably haven't gained this recognition that they
Yeah.
deserve. And it's kind of giving pretty privilege, to be honest. Because think about the people who didn't have the spotlight.
100%. Yeah, I think you're right. As we will hear in next week's episode, yes, pretty privilege, as described by a man, this is a spoiler to next week's episode, could potentially help you get somewhere with your science. So actually, I think that's a really interesting point. I didn't even realize how incredible her story actually was. Like, she truly has lived many lives. She is iconic, and I want to be her friend. I just think she's amazing.
Yeah, she honestly lived so many lives. And it was a life of contrasts. You had the movie star, the inventor, beauty, brains, fame,
Iconic.
but invisibility. And I think her story is a reminder that sometimes the brightest minds are hidden in plain sight. But at least, I guess, her legacy lives on in every wireless signal and in every connected device.
Preach. Period. Love that.
Period.
Love that. Well, this was such a great episode to kick off Overlooked Season 6 with. So thank you so much for that, Taz. Next week, we will be covering another iconic woman in STEM who has been overlooked, and we will be telling their story. But for now, it is time to get into the first laboratory of Season 6, and it is a wild one. So buckle up because this is going to be interesting.
Woohoo!
But I'm worth it, 'cause I'll slip into your dreams tonight. So give me your
So the subject line of this season's first laboratory is, "This is how my PI sabotaged my PhD over a conference sign up." Interesting. So it starts off by saying, "Hi guys, I am a third year PhD student in Germany, and honestly, I feel like I'm losing it. In my second year, I really wanted to go to a particular conference, but my PI wouldn't let me. They gave me vague excuses and lied about the reasons, which made no sense. I had a feeling it wasn't about funding or logistics. It felt like they just didn't want me to go for some reason. I didn't want to give up though, so I started looking into other conferences on my own, and while browsing one of the websites, I thought I was just signing up for the newsletter, but it turns out I accidentally registered for the actual conference. I didn't even realize until much later when my PI emailed me saying that the organizers had contacted them asking why I hadn't submitted my abstract yet. I was horrified. Things got even weirder after that. So my PI went to a different conference in Spain, and when they came back, they casually told me that another professor, who also happens to be their friend and someone that I know, had basically scooped my project. Then my PI said, "Honestly, I thought you'd get there first." That comment broke me, and it felt like they knew I was in a race to publish but didn't support me. And now I can't stop wondering if it's all connected. Like, maybe they didn't want me going to conferences because they were trying to keep the project under wraps, and when I accidentally signed up and the word got out, they got annoyed. Or worse, maybe they never cared if I got there first because their friend was always going to. Then, earlier this year, my PI suggested that we collaborate with the professor who scooped me, and I asked for updates multiple times, and the only response I got was, "He's Japanese and busy with the cherry blossom season right now." I'm not kidding, that's the actual excuse. At this point, I feel like I'm being lied to again. Like, maybe the professor rejected the collaboration and my PI just won't admit it. Maybe this is all fallout from me signing up after that conference, or maybe my PI is just checked out. They're retiring in a few years anyway. But it's all left me feeling completely demotivated and confused. What do you think? Am I overthinking? Or is this actually as shady as it feels?
Oh my God. It's a lot to digest.
Can I start with the obvious? Now,
Yeah.
to the listener, girl, don't hate me for saying this.
Or guy.
Girl or guy, yes. Whoever this person is, don't hate me for saying this, but Did you really think you were signing up for a newsletter? Because I'm gonna just say,
That's
be
exactly
real
what
with
I
us.
thought.
Be real with us, because signing up for a conference is a lengthy process. I mean, maybe some conferences do just have like a pop your email in and that's it. Are we sure? Are we sure?
Well,
Like,
usually
are
when
we
you
being honest with
register
ourselves?
for a conference, you pay
You
to
pay for
attend.
it. You have to put in like you normally have to put in your abstract.
References.
You have to put loads of stuff in. So I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying, like,
Let's not kid yourself.
are we
And
sure?
then they used your reference and
You.
contacted your supervisor to get the reference.
But maybe
And then
not.
you're
Let's.
like, oh shit.
But anyway, let's just take it. Accidentally signed. My first initial thoughts is like, why are we being so funny about them going to a conference? I'm in complete agreement. I think something 100% is fishy going on, and
Yeah.
100% something weird, because why don't they want you going to a conference? My PIs are like, go to conferences. Like, they love
Yeah,
it.
I mean, the only reason why, in my mind, would be like from a funding perspective. But if she feels that funding is not really a problem, then yeah, something fishy is definitely going on. I don't know. There shouldn't be that kind of animosity between you and your PI over going to a conference, in my opinion.
No, absolutely not. So that's already giving, this is weird. But
Yeah,
then for me, it's the honestly, I thought you'd get in there first comment. Like, what do you mean? First of
yeah.
all, you didn't want them to go to the conference anyway. So how were they ever going to get in there first? Because you were the one trying to restrict them from going to the conference. So what do you even mean by that comment? Like,
Well, they obviously didn't want them going to the conference to kind of present all of this data on this one topic for the Japanese researcher to see it and go, oh, we're doing the exact same project. I need to
yeah,
hurry up and publish before this girl. But regardless of the fact that she didn't go to the conference, he still published first. And that's
yes,
why her PI was like, I thought you would get in there first. But he obviously saying that because he knew that they were researching that stuff,
right,
which I think is a
100%.
bit
And
snaky,
that's
to
why
be
he didn't
honest,
want her to
because he
go.
should have told her from the off, like, oh, I know this collaborator and he's actually doing something really similar to you. Like, we need to like hurry up and get this
Yeah.
published. Like,
Yeah, and
what?
like, hey, I'm really happy for you to go to conferences, but maybe don't present because I know this other group who's working on this and like really just want to get
Yeah.
ours. Like, why is he not telling her these things? Like, it's giving, I don't know, it's a bit weird. And then yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So at the end, they're saying about how there was like nearly a collaboration, but then this guy is apparently saying he's too busy with the Cherry Blossom Festival, which is honestly
I
just the
think
worst
that's
excuse
all a
ever.
lie. I think
Yeah, the
that's
PI
all a
has made it
lie.
up. Yeah,
The
so do I. The
PI's
PI
made
has,
it up that there's a
yeah.
collaboration, to be
And he's
honest.
trying to make it out that he's like got connections and he's like the it
Yeah.
guy, and like, oh, don't
I
worry
don't
about the
think
fact that
he
you were just
even
scooped,
asked.
because no, me neither. And I have been like, I've worked with a PI or two like this where they just tell the stupidest white lies ever that you just think,
Yeah.
why on earth would you say that? Because that's such a white lie. So one of my like jobs that I've had before, I in my interview, my PI told me that he was a bioinformatician. And to this day, I'm still like, I don't know if he is a bioinformatician, but he told me he was. And he told me that like he could code in R, and he was like really good with the command line and blah, 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 and all of this stuff. But then like I started the job, and like he doesn't even know how to like use the terminal. Like he doesn't actually know how to like open and
Oh,
like navigate through the terminal. And I was like, why would you tell me that you are like proficient in R and like you're very good if you know that you literally can't even navigate through your folders in the terminal? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what is the point in
no.
telling these white lies? So this is what it's giving. I think this professor has made up this white lie because he wants to be like, don't worry about the fact that you just got scooped. I'm going to get us in with them. I'm going to
Mm.
save it. And then like, he's probably not got an email back. And then he's like, oh, it's, Japan, it's the Cherry Blossom Festival. But I think that's a silly excuse, but I don't know.
Yeah. So I think, to like sum it up, what's happened is that her PI or his PI have gotten some inspo from a project that a PhD student could do, say from a conference, say from this Japanese
Mm-hmm.
researcher. Maybe they presented at a conference and the PI in question was like, oh, I'm going to build on that and have it as a PhD project.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's obviously, or he's been working on this PhD, wants to go to a conference. The PI is like, no, I don't want you to go to that conference because I know I've kind of like ripped off this
Yeah.
research.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
I know that they're also probably working on it. So we don't
Yes.
want them to get an idea that we're doing it as well. But then the Japanese researcher publishes their stuff, and then the PI's like, I thought you would get there first. And then there's no collaboration at all. It's just fabricated.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what's happened.
So at the end, they asked, is this actually as shady as it feels? Yes, it is as shady as it feels. It absolutely is. Your PI has, in fact, done you dirty. And I think sometimes we glamorize our PIs and we think, no, they wouldn't do anything shady. And they wouldn't do anything. No, as in, like, we think they wouldn't do anything shady. Like, we second guess ourselves of, like, maybe I'm overthinking this. Like, no, you're not overthinking this. This is weird. This is shady. And yeah, maybe don't do a postdoc with this PI. I mean, you said they're retiring soon anyway. So get that PhD done. And also, what I will say, it doesn't matter if someone has quote unquote scooped you.
I
You will
agree.
always find your own unique perspective on things, even if you have completely different, like you're going to have different data to them, but you're answering the same research question. Your work is still publishable, 100%.
Yeah.
So do your thing, get your PhD done, and then get out of that because yes, your PI is shady.
Yeah. Well done, Liv. That was a good summary.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much to this listener for writing in their laboratory. We absolutely love reading your guys' stories. Like, this is just my favorite part about the podcast. So we will leave an anonymous link in today's episode or video description. So if you have a story similar to this, completely different to this, any kind of story that you want our advice on, our perspective on, please make sure that you use that link and give us as much detail as possible, and we will try and address it on this season. As I said at the start of the episode, we have a few slots open, so get those laboratories in quick. But for now, that rounds up episode 1 of Overlooked, and we will see you guys back here same time next week. Bye everyone.
Bye everyone.